Still on partial fraction. Still on partial fraction. Now, going to example 2. Resolve 1 plus x over 1 minus x into bracket 1 plus x squared into partial fraction. Resolve this guy into partial fraction. Now, let's write solution. We have 1 plus x over 1 minus x, 1 plus x, or 1 plus x squared. Now, we are told to resolve this into partial fraction. Now, the first thing, when you are given a partial fraction, don't forget what I told you. I said you have to know what type of partial fraction you are dealing with, right? Now, judging by what we've done so far on partial fraction, so what type of partial fraction do you think this partial fraction looks like? What type of partial fraction? This is a what? A repeated quadratic factor, right? Look at the denominator. I have 1 plus x squared. You know it is a repeated quadratic. You know, it's just like when they say, you know, 1 minus x squared is difference of 2 squared. You know, it's also still a quadratic factor, right? But when I now have 1 plus x squared, is it the same thing as difference of 2 squared? No. This is what? It is something we cannot factorize. So whenever you have something you cannot factorize, it is under a repeated quadratic factor. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Let's say, for example, we're given x squared plus x plus 1. X squared plus x plus 1. If you look at this quadratic, you know this is a quadratic equation, right? If you look at it very well, can you factorize this x squared plus x plus 1? Try it. You just try it while the rest of us continue. You just continue to try it. You see that you will not be able to factorize it. Why? Because it cannot be factorized. Is there any two numbers that when you multiply will give you 1 and when you add it to give you, it will still give you 1x? No. So if you think you can factorize it, I give you, just continue while the rest of us continue with our own partial fraction, right? So you see that when you cannot factorize it, it is under a repeated quadratic factor. So I'm coming back to this. So how do you now split this guy? You know it is under repeated. How do I tell you that you're going to split it? Now I have, that will be a over 1 minus x, then plus. Now, on top of the one you cannot factorize, you know this is the next thing. I can't factorize it. What do I now say? After a, it is what? You now say bx plus c over 1 plus x square. Do you understand? Because I cannot factorize it. So what will be on the numerator? You say bx plus c. Do you understand how we splitted it now? Now, let's say, for example, I have another one. Let's say I have 7 over, I have this, then I have 3 minus x, for example, right? Now I have something like this. You know, this is under a repeated quadratic, right? How do I now split it? You know, it will be, you know, this is the first thing here. So I'll say ax plus b, abi, then over x squared plus x plus 1. You know, it cannot be factorized. So then plus followed by what? After a and b, followed by c over 3 minus x. Do you understand it now? So if something was in front, let's say something was in front here. So it can just be, you say a over 1 plus x, then plus, after that it will now be plus bx plus c, abi, over the one you cannot factorize, and the last one will now be d over this. Do you understand how repeated quadratic is now? So that is just that unrepeated. It is not hard. That is just that unrepeated. So now, how do we now go about it? The first thing, after you splitted it, the first thing is to do your LCM. So let's do our LCM. Our LCM will be what? Our LCM is 1 minus x and what? 1 plus x squared. 1 plus x squared. So this in this LCM will be what? 1. 1 multiplied by 1 plus x will give us 1 plus x. Equals to this in this LCM. 1 minus x in this LCM will give, it will cancel this. It remain 1 plus x squared. Multiplied by a. That will be a into bracket 1 plus x squared. Then plus this in this LCM. 1 plus x squared in this LCM will cancel this. It will remain 1 minus x. That is what? Bx plus c into bracket what? 1 minus x. You get? So that is how we do the LCM. So we are done with the LCM. Now, the next thing is to find a and whatever. Let's just find. To find a. So what did I say? You come under a. You say put what? What is under a? Put 1 minus x equals to 0. 1 will be equals to 1 minus x cross. It will be equals to x. Therefore, your x is equals to what? 1. Where we did this LCM, anywhere I see x, I'll put 1. So this will now give us what? 1 plus 1. A into bracket 1 plus, this is what? This is x again. So we'll say 1 square, right? Then plus, here is b multiplied by 1. Anywhere we see x, we put 1. Then plus c. Then here is what? 1 minus 1. So here 1 plus 1 is what? 2, equals to a into bracket 1 plus 1 square is what? 1. Then b multiplied by 1 is what? B, right? Then plus c. 1 minus 1, 0. So that will give us 2 equals to a into bracket 1 plus 1, 2, plus 0 times b is what? This b plus c is together with this 0. So 0 multiplied by b is what? 0. 0 multiplied by c is what? 0. So what do we now have? 2 is equals to what? A multiplied by 2 is what? 2a. So when we divide both sides by 2, therefore, what's our a? Our a is equals to 1, right? 2 divided by 2 is what? 1. So our a is equals to 1. Do you understand? So that's how we got a. Now, the next thing is to get what? B and C. Don't forget, the next thing is to get B and C. So how do you get B and C? We don't have any option than to what? Than to expand. You don't have any option than to come here and what? You come here and expand. You know, you cannot say put 1 plus x square equals to 0. If you say put 1 plus x square equals to 0, that will be what? S square equals to what? When 1 cross to the other side, what will it become? Minus 1. When you take the square root of both sides, that will be square root of what? Minus 1. And it will give you a junk answer, right? That's math error. So we can't do it like that. So the only best option is to do what? Is to come here and expand. That's the only option, to come here and expand. So after you've gotten the first value, then you come and expand. Let's expand this guy. So when we expand, we are going to have, okay, we have 1 plus x. Let's write it first. Then a into bracket 1 plus x square. Then plus bx plus c. Then we have 1 minus x. So let's expand. So we have 1 plus x. A multiplied by 1 is what? A. A multiplied by x square is what? Ax square, right? Plus bx multiplied by 1 is what? Bx. Bx multiplied by minus x square is what? Minus bx square, right? Bx times 1 is bx. Bx times minus x square minus bx square. C times 1 is what? C. C times minus x is what? Minus cx. Do you understand how we expand it now? So it's just very, very simple. So what was the next thing? Is what? You say taking coefficients. Let's take the coefficient. Taking coefficient. Now, the highest power of x. What's the highest? X square. So let's start with x square. Just like we did in the previous video. On the left hand side, what is the coefficient of x square? On the left hand side. Is there any x square on the left hand side? No. So the coefficient is 0. On the right hand side, what is the coefficient of x square? This is x square. So just pick the coefficient a, followed by what? Minus b. Is there any x square? No. Call this equation 1. Let's go for x. On the left hand side, what's the coefficient of x? Coefficient is the coefficient we are taking, no, not the power. Be careful. It is the coefficient. What's the coefficient? 1. On this right hand side, what's the coefficient of x? Here is what? B. What of x? Minus c. Call this equation 2. Right? So the last thing is to go for the constant. On the left hand side, what's the constant? 1. On the right hand side, what's the constant? The one without x. When we say constant, the one without x. So what do we have? A followed by what? Plus c. We call this equation 3. So now we've gotten a. What remains? B and c. So from equation 1, I know a, I can get b. From equation 2, you know, if I've gotten b, I can get c. Or you can come to equation 3, I know a, I can get c. Do you understand? So let's just use from equation 1. From equation 1. Equation 1 says 0 is equals to a minus b, right? So what's our a? Our a is 1. So that's 0 is equals to 1 minus b. Let's take minus b to this side. When minus b cross, what will it become? That's plus b equals to what? 1. Therefore, b is equals to what? 1. And this is our value for b. Do you understand? So let's go to equation 3. From equation 3. Equation 3 says 1 is equals to a plus c. So that's 1 is equals to, what's our a? You said our a is what? 1. So that's 1 plus c. What do? We collect like terms. Let's take 1 to the other side. So 1, this one here, when 1 cross, it will become -1 equals to what? C. That's 1 minus 1 is what? 0. Then therefore, C is equals to 0. So you can check. Let's check from equation 2 if actually C is 0. Equation 2 says 1 is equals to B minus C. That's 1 equals to, what do we get for B? 1 minus C. Take minus C to the other side, take 1 to this side. When minus C cross, it becomes C. When 1 cross, it becomes minus. So C is equals to 0. See that C is actually what? 0. So either you pick equation 2 or equation 3, you still arrive at the same answer. So we've gotten A, B, and C. So don't forget you have to come back into the partial fraction and insert. So you come back into the partial fraction and insert. So what do we now have? We have 1 plus x over 1 minus x, 1 plus x squared equals to, what's our A? The A is what? 1 over, that's 1 minus x, right? Then plus, what's our B? B is 1, right? Let me just put it down. Let me write it here. So that's 1 plus x over 1 minus x. Then I have 1 plus x squared equals to, what's our A? Our A is 1. That's 1 over 1 minus x. Then plus, our B is what? 1. So that will be 1 into bracket x, right? So that's 1 in bracket multiplied by x. Then plus, what's our C? 0. Then over 1 plus x squared. So I'm sorry about that. So what will be your final answer? Here will now be 1 over 1 minus x. So 1 multiplied by x is what? That's x. X plus 0 is tx. Then over 1 plus x squared. Over 1 plus x squared. And this is our final answer. So, and that's how you solve the partial fraction. I hope you understand. So please don't mind the way my body is. Please don't mind the way my body is. So, and this is how you solve any partial fraction that is related to a repeated quadratic factor. So I hope this video is helpful to you. Please do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, and share this video. Thank you.